They say the past is a mirror, but tonight, Kylie Jenner didn't just look into it, she stepped through it. And when someone tried to shame her for celebrating the girl who started it all, she lit the comments on fire. So ask yourself, is Kylie obsessed with her younger self? Or is she showing the world exactly how power is built? You're watching the return of King Kylie, and this time she's not asking for permission. But that's only the beginning. It started with a single comment, a throwaway jab under a celebratory post, one of those quick little digs people toss online and forget about. Why be so obsessed with your child self though, lol, it said. As if the girl who changed the beauty industry before she was old enough to order a drink should sit quietly while history rewrites itself. Kylie didn't write a think piece. She didn't post a notes app essay. She replied with a sledgehammer, because she built a Kylie Cosmetics and deserves to be celebrated after a decade of being an icon. Bye! I'm obsessed with her. It was quick. It was hot. It was pure King Kylie, capital letters, punchy rhythm, and a message the internet couldn't spin. This younger self wasn't a phase. She was the architect, and what happened next shocked everyone. Because this clapback wasn't random. It was timed, calculated. A spark thrown at a gasoline trail she'd been laying for months. 10 years of Kylie Cosmetics. 10 years since a teenager took the most mocked feature on her face and turned it into a global product line that re-engineered the way young people talked about lips, pigment, and confidence. 10 years since a girl with a phone, a mirror, and a bedroom lighting setup taught the internet that your face was a canvas and a business. So when the anniversary hit, Kylie didn't do a museum tour. She did a resurrection. Metallic glosses that looked like liquid metal. The King Kylie palette that gave Tumblr-era girls a flashback so strong they could smell the era's hair dye. And of course the lip kits. Those little boxes that turned the word kit into a status symbol you could hold. This wasn't just a restock. It was a time capsule cracked open, with the past still warm inside. But she wasn't done. Not even close. Because King Kylie isn't just a product drop, it's a character. An alter ego that broke out of the family mold and painted her own. Back then, she dyed her hair electric. She posted in swarms, selfies like static electricity. She flexed hard and spoke soft, like a girl who knows the room hears her even when she whispers. King Kylie wasn't about royalty. It was about permission. Permission to be a little chaotic, a little loud, and completely in charge. And that chaos? She brought it back on purpose, because the internet loves nostalgia until it belongs to a woman with her own credit card. Then it becomes a problem. Why are you obsessed with your younger self? Translation: why are you celebrating your power? Why are you reminding us of the era when you made us feel something? And Kylie's answer was simple: because that girl did the work, but that was only the setup. The twist slid in quietly, the way the most explosive moves always do. A studio, a mic, a feature. Terror Jr.'s fourth strike, with Kylie's vocals threaded through like velvet wire. She didn't pound her chest and call herself a singer. She didn't hype it with a countdown. She just did it. She said she was nervous. She thanked the team. And then she let the internet do its favorite thing: speculate. Is Kylie testing the water? Is King Kylie now a multimedia era? Will there be more tracks? Maybe, maybe not. But the message was clear. The girl who built a beauty empire from a single feature is allowed to play in other universes. She's allowed to sound different. She's allowed to surprise you. And the timeline that got her here? It's wild. Picture it like flicking through a flipbook that turns faster and faster as it goes. 2008. A kid at a charity carnival just months before a show about her family redrew the lines of fame. 2009. Album parties, festival bangs, the kind of early appearances that feel innocent now. 2010, big smiles, Beverly Hills events, a hint of the confidence that would soon become currency. 2011, award shows. 2012, teen choice, almost 15, almost famous, almost ready. 2013, premieres, camera flashes, the hum that follows a last name like an echo. Then 2014 hits, and King Kylie arrives. Blue carpets, lip liner, a distinct online voice. The year her selfies felt like campaign posters for a future she hadn't announced yet. 2015, Grammys parties, VMAs bangs, the silhouette of a mogul starting to show. SARS business casual at Fresh Faces, her own charity event, her own red carpet. Because at some point, you stop walking other people's carpets and roll out your own. Fast forward. 2018. Met Gala in black. Stripped down, refined. A mother now. 2019. Big fashion at the Grammys. Cameras catching her supporting then-partner at a premiere. 2020. The Vanity Fair party. Blue tones and sharper edges. 2021. Slipping out of awards with the kind of practiced calm that only comes after years of chaos. 2022, post-baby glow, a presence that says, I exist at this level now. 2023, red at the Met, unmissable. 2024, a spritz of Sprinter in one hand, a walking billboard that cleverly sells without trying too hard. 2025, latex era teased like a cliffhanger. I'd wear this to pick up my kids, she jokes. And you believe her, because the woman who built a brand out of a lip liner knows how to sell you a fantasy that feels practical. But here's the part people miss. When Kylie says she's obsessed with her younger self, she's not talking about a version of her that needs rescuing. She's talking about the worker, the builder, the strategist, the teenager who learned how the algorithm breathes and taught it her name. And if you think honoring that is vanity, you're not listening. You're projecting, because women get punished for remembering. For commemorating, for saying, I did that. Men get documentaries. Women get told to move on. And Kylie's clapback? It wasn't just for her. It was a message beamed to every girl who survived becoming someone in public. You are allowed to love the version of you that broke the doors open. Still, the internet demanded a debate. Obsessed. Stuck in the past. Doing too much. The classic chorus. But the counter melody was louder. Fans who remembered what those products meant. People who saved up for a lip kit and felt like they were finally allowed to be dramatic, sharp, bold, lined. People who grew up and realized that wasn't just makeup. It was permission, and the nostalgia? It isn't cheap if you built it yourself. That's the secret. Nostalgia becomes cynical when it's used like bait. But when the creator opens a box of her early work and says, look at the girl who made this, it hits different. It's a museum tour by the artist. It's a diary read aloud, pages intact, ink not yet dry. And then, because Kylie is always running 2 plays at once, there's love, legacy, and leverage. Dating Timothee Chalamet while navigating a career that turns every exit into an entrance. Raising Stormy and Aire while steering product lines, partnerships, and now, maybe, music experiments. Holding a beverage in one hand, a palette in the other, and an era in her pocket. The optics are nature and negotiation. Every public moment feels like a soft launch for the next idea. That's not an accident, that's architecture. So where does King Kylie go from here? Think phases, not posts. Think arcs, not announcements. The latex tease suggests a fashion-driven silhouette, owning the visual conversation before the captions can catch up. The studio clip suggests more sonic mood boards, maybe features, maybe whispers, maybe an EP, maybe just vibes. The anniversary products suggest a future product philosophy. Heritage drops woven into newness, a couture meets capsule mentality that feels both elite and nostalgic. If she's smart, and she's always been, she'll treat her early self like a house code. Chanel has a camellia. Kylie has a kit. You bring it back on your terms, at your tempo, with your edits. But none of this lands without the core truth. The younger self she's obsessed with refused to make herself small. She didn't wait for a new face to get new confidence. She drew it. She carved it. She sold it. And when the world tried to reduce that to a punchline, she made it a pipeline. Product to platform to power. That is why she celebrates her. That is why she resurrected the era that started it all. Because the girl in the mirror wasn't a phase. She was a foundation. And foundations don't go out of style. They get built on. Now let's talk about the art of the comeback. Because Kylie didn't return to an empty stage. She returned to an audience trained by years of micro-drops, surprise collabs, algorithmic routines. Attention is more slippery now. Memory fades faster. But here's the trick. When you bring back a feeling people thought they'd never touch again, the room goes quiet. That's what the King Kylie revival did. It made grown people feel like teenagers in their bedrooms again, trying on a persona in the glow of a bathroom light. That's what sells. That's what sticks. And the clapback? It punctured the air enough to get everyone watching. Because a good comeback needs friction. It needs a foil. It needs someone to say why. So the artist can answer, Watch. But here's a question that should make you lean in. What if this era isn't about reclaiming an image, but redistributing it? What if Kylie's biggest flex is showing her audience how her past can be both artifact and instrument? Imagine a King Kylie residency, short-form content arcs, limited edition drops timed to lunar cycles of nostalgia, sound bites that bridge makeup to music to mood. Imagine she treats her teenage archive not like a scrapbook, but like a sample pack. That's not obsession. That's curation. And then there's the mother factor, the part skeptics never quite know what to do with. Kylie jokes she'd wear a latex dress to pick up her kids from school, to a meeting, to the club. It's funny. It's cheeky. But beneath the joke is a thesis. Motherhood is not a retirement plan. It's not a dimmer switch. It's a variable in a brand formula that, if you're bold, makes the whole thing feel more alive. The message threads through everything. I am two things at once. More than two. Many. All. Watch me metabolize every version of me into something new. Of course, there's a shadow to every spotlight. The criticism won't stop. The comments will cut. The think pieces will grumble. And every pivot will invite a counter. That's the tax of influence. But when you own the archive, when your younger self is both a girl in a phone and the CEO who walked out of that room, your shield is thicker. You can love her out loud because you are her proof of concept. So let's end where we began, with the accusation that sparked a movement. Why be so obsessed with your child self? Translation: why won't you forget the version of you that made us feel small, wild, seen, angry, inspired? Why won't you dim the era we used to screenshot and copy and clown and crown? And Kylie's answer, because she built this, will echo longer than the comment ever meant to, because this isn't nostalgia gone rogue. It's legacy gone public. And if you're still not convinced, remember this. Every empire has a myth about its beginning. A story that gets told and retold until it becomes part of the architecture. For Kylie Jenner, the origin isn't a throne. It's a lip line. It's a teenage girl who taught the internet how to outline desire and fill it in with color. The world tried to make that small. She made it a skyline. So when she says she's obsessed with the girl who did the work, what she's really saying is simple. Respect the builder. Before we close, a final breadcrumb for the ones who read the room like a map. If the music seeds sprout, don't expect a typical album rollout. Expect a visual diary. Sound is texture, not declaration. Expect pulses of audio that pair with drops, capsules, and visuals. Expect an era that behaves like a mood board come to life. Latex, chrome, mirror ball light, and lyrics like lip liner. Sharp, definite, deliberate. She'll blur the categories until they stop mattering. She's already doing it, so is Kylie Jenner obsessed with her younger self? Or is she reminding the world that the girl they mocked became a machine that prints culture, and she's still got the blueprint? You decide. Drop your take in the comments. Celebrate or debate. Just don't pretend you weren't watching, because King Kylie didn't just come back. She flipped the mirror, and now it's pointed at you. But if you're still here, you want more, the deeper cut, the story under the story. So let's pull it apart and stitch it into something you can't forget. First, power loves a persona. King Kylie wasn't a PR invention. It was a self-appointed position. Teenagers rarely get to name their eras. She did. That matters. When you choose your label, you choose your lens. And when the internet meets you through a lens you chose, it can't fully control the narrative. That's not an accident. That's playbook second, product as plot. Her drops aren't items, they're chapters. Metallic glosses aren't just colors, they're callbacks. The King Kylie palette isn't a grid of shades, it's a decade compressed into pan form. She understands something most brands never do. If you give people a story they can hold, they'll carry it for you. That's why the anniversary hit like a memory rush. The items weren't new. The storyline was, third, clapback as cadence. People remember tone, not paragraphs. Her reply was compressed lightning, short lines, stacked exclamation marks, humor edged with steel. It read like a hook. It stuck like one. You don't need a megaphone if your sentence is a siren. Fourth, motherhood as multiply. She talks about school pickup in latex, half joke, half thesis. It lands because the line does two jobs at once. Disarms the critique and expands the frame. Women are allowed to be spectacle and schedule. She's staging both and letting you see the seam. Fifth, romance as rhythm. The Timothee storyline is quiet music under the louder drums. She's not leading with it, but it hums. Proof that intimacy and ambition can be parallel tracks without canceling each other out. The public holds these things in a single hand like they're opposites. She keeps setting them on the same table like they're appetizers. Sixth, music as mist. She stepped into a space famous for swallowing egos and instead left a trace, a vocal layer, a feature, a thank you. No promises, no press tour, no I'm a singer now. Just smoke. And you know how smoke works. It finds you. Seventh, gratitude as gravity. She thanked the fans. She underlined the decade. She made the collection about the people who carried it. That's not fluff. That's physics. Gratitude pulls people closer. Arrogance pushes them away. She knows the difference, and she uses it like orbit. Eighth, criticism as conditioning. The backlash is predictable, almost scripted. But the more predictable it becomes, the less potent it is. You can't shock someone with a jump scare they've seen 50 times. That's why she keeps moving. If the critique is static, motion wins. Ninth, archive as arsenal. She doesn't have to invent origin myths. They're time-stamped, photographed, sold out, reposted. When your past is documented in HD, you can time travel at will. Pull a palette. Post a selfie. Quote a caption. It's all ammunition. And finally, the ending that isn't one. She'll pivot again. She always does. The question isn't what's next. It's what's next for you. Because artists like Kylie don't just restart their engines, they dare you to find yours. That's the secret her critics miss. The reason King Kylie hits is because she makes risk look wearable. So here's my last word before the screen fades. If loving the girl who built your empire is obsession, then obsession might be the most productive emotion in the world. Celebrate her. Debate her. But don't underestimate her. Because the next time she opens that archive, it won't be a trip down memory lane. It'll be a launch pad. And you're already on board.